Welcome to the Discourse Analyzer AI Toolkit, where articles come alive. You're listening to the audio version of our article. For the full text and an interactive experience, check out the link in the description below. Interact with any selection using our AI assistant to enhance your understanding. Let's explore.
Applying gender studies in discourse analysis. The intersection of gender studies and discourse analysis provides a rich and critical lens through which to examine the pervasive influence of gendered discourses in shaping societal norms, policies, educational practices, media landscapes, organizational communications, and the articulation of queer identities. By drawing upon the seminal works of scholars such as Nancy Fraser, Bell Hooks, Judith Butler, Gay Tuckman, Rusty Barrett, and Deborah Tannen, this exploration delves into the multifaceted ways in which gendered narratives and discourses are constructed, perpetuated, and contested across different spheres of social life. These analytical frameworks not only highlight the dynamics of power, inequality, and resistance within the public and private discourse but also underscore the potential for discourse to serve as a site of critical engagement and transformative action. From challenging the structural barriers in policy making and advocating for social justice, to reimagining gender representations in media and fostering inclusive educational environments, the application of gender studies in discourse analysis emerges as a pivotal tool for advancing a more equitable and just society. This exploration seeks to unpack the complexities of gendered discourses, offering insights into their profound impact on our understanding of identity, power, and social change. 1. Advocacy and policymaking. Applying gender studies in discourse analysis to areas like advocacy and policymaking illuminates the profound impact that discourse has on shaping social justice initiatives and public policies. Nancy Fraser's work, particularly her contributions to understanding social justice and public sphere discourse, offers valuable insights into how gendered discourses can both constrain and enable transformative action in these domains. Fraser's theories provide a critical framework for analyzing the dynamics of power, inequality, and participation in the public sphere, which are essential for effective advocacy and equitable policymaking. 1. Nancy Fraser's contributions to social justice and public sphere discourse. Critique of the public sphere. Fraser critiques Jürgen Habermas's notion of the public sphere for its implicit exclusions based on gender, class, and race. She argues that the ideal of a single, unified public sphere overlooks the multiple and competing publics, or counterpublics, that exist, where marginalized groups create their own discursive spaces to formulate oppositional interpretations of their identities, interests, and needs. Participatory parity. A key concept in Fraser's work is participatory parity, which she identifies as a core principle of justice. For Fraser, social justice requires that all individuals have the opportunity to participate as equals in social life, which includes equal access to and participation in discursive spaces. This concept has significant implications for advocacy and policymaking, emphasizing the need to create conditions where marginalized voices are heard and can influence decision-making processes. Redistribution, recognition, and representation. Fraser's model of social justice encompasses three interrelated dimensions: economic redistribution, cultural or symbolic recognition, and political representation. She argues that addressing injustices requires interventions on all three levels, including in the realm of discourse, where misrecognition can perpetuate inequality. For gender studies in discourse analysis, this model offers a comprehensive approach to examining and addressing gender inequalities in society and in policymaking. 2. Implications for advocacy and policymaking. Inclusive policy discourse. Applying Fraser's insights to policy making involves ensuring that policy discourse is inclusive and reflective of the diverse experiences and needs of all societal members, especially marginalized groups. This means challenging exclusionary or marginalizing discourses and creating mechanisms for diverse voices to contribute to policy discussions. Empowering marginalized voices. In advocacy, Fraser's work highlights the importance of supporting and amplifying the voices of marginalized communities, ensuring they can participate as equals in public discourse. This involves both critiquing existing power structures that silence certain groups and actively creating spaces for those groups to articulate their needs and perspectives. Intersecting inequalities. Fraser's emphasis on the intersectionality of injustices, recognizing that gender intersects with other categories of identity like race, class, and sexuality, guides advocates and policymakers to consider the complex ways in which inequalities are experienced and to develop multidimensional strategies for addressing them. Nancy Fraser's contributions to understanding social justice and public sphere discourse provide a critical framework for applying gender studies in discourse analysis to advocacy and policymaking. By emphasizing the importance of participatory parity, the recognition of multiple publics, and the need for interventions across redistribution, recognition, and representation, Fraser's work offers invaluable insights for developing more equitable and inclusive policies and for empowering marginalized voices in public discourse. Through this lens, discourse analysis becomes a powerful tool for advancing social justice and ensuring that policy making is informed by a diverse range of perspectives and experiences. 2. Education and awareness. The application of gender studies in discourse analysis to education and awareness underscores the pivotal role of discourse in shaping understandings of gender and fostering social change. Prominent educators like Bell Hooks have been instrumental in leveraging discourse to promote gender awareness, emphasizing the transformative power of education in challenging prevailing gender norms and inequalities. Hooks' work, deeply rooted in critical pedagogy, feminist theory, and an unwavering commitment to social justice, offers profound insights into how discourse can be employed to cultivate a more inclusive and equitable understanding of gender within educational settings and beyond. 1. Bell Hooks and the promotion of gender awareness. Critical engagement with gender and race. Bell Hooks' interdisciplinary approach integrates feminist theory with critical race studies, highlighting the intersectionality of gender, race, and class. Her work in education focuses on the need for critical engagement with these intersecting identities, advocating for pedagogical practices that foster awareness and understanding of the complexities of gender and its interplay with other social categories. The classroom as a liberatory space. For Hooks, the classroom is a space of possibility, where transformative learning can occur. She advocates for an educational practice that is dialogic and inclusive, where both educators and students can engage in critical discussions about gender, challenge stereotypes, and explore the impact of gender norms on their lives and society at large. Empowerment through education. Hooks emphasizes the empowering potential of education in raising awareness about gender issues. She argues that through critical thinking and open dialogue, individuals can become more conscious of the social constructions of gender and the power dynamics that underlie them. This consciousness is the first step towards challenging and changing those dynamics. 2. The role of educators in promoting gender awareness through discourse. Incorporating gender studies in curriculum. Educators can follow Hooks' example by integrating gender studies into their curriculum, not as a separate or specialized topic, but as a lens through which all subjects can be examined. This approach encourages students to critically analyze how gender influences various aspects of society and culture. Fostering inclusive classrooms. Creating an inclusive classroom environment, where all students feel valued and respected regardless of their gender identity, is crucial. Educators can use discourse to challenge harmful stereotypes and norms, promote empathy and understanding, and encourage students to express their identities freely and authentically. Encouraging critical discourse. By modeling and encouraging critical discourse on gender, educators can help students develop the skills to critically engage with media representations, social norms, and institutional policies related to gender. This involves teaching students to recognize and critique the ways in which gender is constructed and contested in various discourses. The role of educators like Bell Hooks in promoting gender awareness through discourse highlights the transformative potential of education in fostering critical engagement with gender norms and inequalities. By employing discourse analysis within educational contexts, educators can not only raise awareness about the complexities of gender but also empower students to become agents of change in their communities. This approach aligns with Hooke's vision of education as a practice of freedom, where through critical discourse, individuals can challenge oppressive structures and work towards a more equitable and just society. 3. Language and power. Applying gender studies in discourse analysis, particularly through the lens of Judith Butler's examination of performative speech acts, offers a powerful framework for understanding the complex relationship between language, gender identity, and power dynamics. Butler's concept of performativity, articulated in works such as Gender Trouble, 1990, revolutionized the field by positing that gender is not a fixed attribute but rather an ongoing performance that is enacted through repetitive speech acts and behaviors. This perspective illuminates how language is both a tool for constructing gender norms and identities and a medium through which these constructions are continually negotiated and contested. 1. Judith Butler and performative speech acts. Performativity and gender construction. Butler argues that gender identities are not innate or predetermined but are produced and maintained through repeated performative acts, including speech. These acts are performative in the sense that they do not merely express a pre-existing gender identity but actually constitute and reconstitute that identity through their enactment. The role of discourse in gender performativity. Central to Butler's theory is the idea that discourse plays a crucial role in the performative construction of gender. Language and discourse provide the scripts and frameworks within which gender performances are intelligible. These scripts are laden with power dynamics, reflecting and reinforcing societal norms and expectations regarding gender. 2. Language, power, and gender identity. Constituting gender through language. Butler's work underscores how language acts as a site of power through which gender norms are enforced and gender identities are constructed. For instance, the discursive practices surrounding pronoun use, naming, and gendered language in institutions like the family, education, and the legal system all contribute to the constitution of gendered subjects. Resistance and subversion. Importantly, Butler also highlights the potential for resistance within the realm of discourse. By disrupting the expected scripts and performances, individuals can challenge and subvert dominant gender norms. This includes the strategic use of language to resist categorization, redefine identities, and create spaces for alternative gender expressions. 3. Implications for gender studies and discourse analysis. Analyzing discursive constructions of gender. Applying Butler's theory of performativity in discourse analysis allows scholars to critically examine how gender norms and identities are produced, reproduced, and contested in various texts and communicative practices. This involves paying close attention to how language is used to enforce or challenge power relations related to gender. Empowering alternative discourses. Butler's work encourages the exploration and validation of alternative discourses that resist hegemonic gender norms. This can involve studying the language practices of LGBTQ+ communities, feminist movements, and other groups that seek to redefine gender beyond binary constructs. Critiquing institutional discourses. A performative view of gender also calls for a critical analysis of how institutions use language to construct and regulate gender identities. This includes examining policies, legal texts, educational materials, and media representations to understand how they contribute to the maintenance of gender inequalities. Judith Butler's exploration of performative speech acts and their relation to gender identity and power dynamics significantly enriches the application of gender studies in discourse analysis. By conceptualizing gender as a performative construction enacted through discourse, Butler's work provides a critical framework for analyzing how language constructs and is constructed by gender norms and identities. This approach not only deepens our understanding of the discursive mechanisms underpinning gender norms but also highlights the potential for discourse to serve as a powerful site of resistance and transformation in the quest for gender equity and social justice. 4. Gender and the media. Applying gender studies in discourse analysis to the realm of media. Gay Tuchman's theory of symbolic annihilation emerges as a critical lens through which to understand the complex interplay between media discourse and gender representation. Introduced in the late 1970s, Tuckman's concept highlights how the underrepresentation and misrepresentation of women in media not only reflect but actively contribute to the perpetuation of gender biases and inequalities in society. This theory is pivotal for dissecting how gender biases embedded in media discourse shape, reinforce, and sometimes challenge broader societal narratives about gender roles, identities, and inequalities. 1. Symbolic annihilation in gender in media. Underrepresentation of women. Tuckman's theory initially pointed to the scarcity of women in media portrayals, noting that when women do appear, they are often relegated to stereotypical roles that do not reflect the full breadth of women's experiences, achievements, or contributions to society. This underrepresentation sends a powerful message about the value and visibility of women in the public sphere. Misrepresentation and stereotyping. Beyond mere underrepresentation, symbolic annihilation also encompasses the misrepresentation of women, where the roles and characters that women do inhabit in media narratives are steeped in stereotypes. These portrayals often emphasize traditional gender roles, physical attractiveness, and dependency, undermining the diversity and complexity of women's lives. 2. Analyzing gender biases in media discourse. Content analysis. Applying Tuckman's theory, researchers can conduct content analyses of various media forms, television shows, movies, news media, and digital content, to quantitatively and qualitatively assess the representation of women. This involves examining not only the frequency of women's appearances but also the roles they occupy, the attributes they are assigned, and the narratives constructed around them. Critical Discourse Analysis, CDA. CDA offers tools for a deeper examination of the language and imagery used in media to depict women. This approach can reveal how discursive choices contribute to the construction of gendered meanings, identities, and power relations, further elucidating the mechanisms of symbolic annihilation. 3. Implications for society and gender equality. Reinforcement of gender norms. Tuckman's work underscores how media discourse not only mirrors societal gender norms but actively reinforces and naturalizes them. By continually presenting skewed and stereotypical representations of women, media contributes to the normalization of gender inequalities. Challenging and changing discourses. Recognizing the power of media as a site of discursive construction opens possibilities for challenging and changing dominant narratives. Media creators and consumers alike can play roles in promoting more diverse, equitable, and complex representations of women, contributing to broader societal shifts in understanding gender. Empowerment through alternative media. The theory of symbolic annihilation also highlights the importance of alternative media spaces, such as independent films, digital platforms, and social media, where more nuanced and empowering portrayals of women can be created and circulated, challenging mainstream media narratives. Tuckman's theory of symbolic annihilation is essential for applying gender studies in discourse analysis to the study of media. It provides a critical framework for understanding how gender biases in media discourse not only reflect but actively shape societal perceptions and inequalities related to gender. By critically engaging with and challenging these discourses, there is potential for fostering a media landscape that more accurately and equitably represents women, contributing to the broader project of gender equality. 5. Queer linguistics. Applying gender studies in discourse analysis within the framework of queer linguistics offers an invaluable perspective on understanding how language functions as a critical tool in the negotiation and expression of queer identities. Rusty Barrett's contributions to this field provide profound insights into the complexities of language use within the LGBTQ+ community, highlighting the ways in which queer identities are articulated, contested, and affirmed through linguistic practices. His research underscores the diversity of gender representations in discourse and the importance of language in shaping the experiences and visibility of queer individuals. 1. Rusty Barrett's contributions to queer linguistics. Language and queer identity. Barrett's work explores the intricate relationship between language and queer identity, demonstrating how linguistic choices, ranging from pronoun usage to lexical innovation and stylistic variation, serve as pivotal mechanisms for expressing and negotiating queer identities. His research illuminates how language is not merely a reflection of identity but an active site of identity construction and social interaction within the LGBTQ+ community. Negotiating queer identities in discourse. Barrett examines the ways in which queer individuals navigate and negotiate their identities in various discursive contexts, from everyday conversations to public and online spaces. He highlights the strategic use of language to challenge heteronormative assumptions, resist marginalization, and foster a sense of community and belonging. Language as a site of resistance. An important aspect of Barrett's research is the identification of language as a powerful tool for resistance against dominant gender norms and ideologies. Through linguistic practices such as the reclamation of pejorative terms, the creation of inclusive language forms, and the playful subversion of gendered language norms, queer individuals and communities use discourse as a means of challenging societal norms and advocating for greater recognition and rights. 2. Enriching discussions on gender diversity in discourse. Highlighting linguistic diversity. Barrett's work on queer linguistics enriches discussions on gender diversity in discourse by emphasizing the linguistic creativity and resilience of the LGBTQ+ community. His research showcases the diverse ways in which gender and sexuality can be represented and understood through language, challenging binary and essentialist conceptions of gender. Understanding intersectionality. Queer linguistics, as exemplified by Barrett's research, also contributes to a deeper understanding of intersectionality in discourse analysis. It explores how queer identities intersect with other social identities, such as race, ethnicity, and class, and how these intersections are negotiated through language, revealing the multiplicity of queer experiences. Implications for inclusive language practices. Applying insights from queer linguistics to broader discussions of gender representation in discourse highlights the importance of inclusive and affirming language practices. It underscores the need for linguistic sensitivity and awareness in various contexts, from education and media to policy and everyday communication, to support the visibility and rights of queer individuals. Rusty Barrett's contributions to the field of queer linguistics significantly advance the application of gender studies in discourse analysis, offering nuanced insights into the role of language in the construction and negotiation of queer identities. His research underscores the diversity and dynamism of gender representations in discourse, highlighting the importance of language as both a reflection of social identity and a potent tool for social change. By exploring the ways in which queer identities are articulated and contested through language, Barrett's work not only enriches academic discussions but also contributes to the broader project of fostering inclusivity and understanding in society. 6. Gendered discourses in organizations. Applying gender studies in discourse analysis to the examination of gendered discourses in organizations, Deborah Tannen's analytical insights into communication styles serve as a critical lens for understanding how gender influences perceptions of authority and competence in professional settings. Tannen, renowned for her exploration of gender differences in communication, provides invaluable frameworks for dissecting the nuanced ways in which language constructs and is constructed by gender dynamics within organizational discourse. Her work highlights the complexities of gendered communication and its impact on professional interactions, authority perception, and career advancement. 1. Deborah Tannen's analysis of communication styles. Gendered communication patterns. Tannen's research delineates distinct communication styles that are socially attributed to men and women, exploring how these styles are perceived and valued differently in professional contexts. She notes that men's communication often aligns with cultural expectations of authority, characterized by directness and assertiveness, whereas women's communication, which may emphasize rapport building and collaboration, can be perceived as less authoritative. The double bind. A key concept in Tannen's work is the double bind faced by women in professional settings. Women who adopt a traditionally masculine, assertive communication style may be viewed as competent but unlikable, whereas those who adhere to a more traditionally feminine style may be liked but not respected for leadership. This double bind underscores the challenges women face in navigating professional discourses to be seen as both authoritative and approachable. Status and solidarity. Tannen's distinction between status-oriented and solidarity-oriented communication styles further illuminates how linguistic practices can reinforce or challenge organizational hierarchies. She argues that communication in professional settings often navigates between these two orientations, with gender playing a significant role in how individuals choose to assert status or build solidarity, and how these choices are interpreted by others. 2. Implications for organizational discourse. Influencing perceptions of authority and competence. Tannen's work is instrumental in exploring how gendered communication styles influence perceptions of authority and competence within organizations. Her analysis offers a lens through which to examine how linguistic practices contribute to the maintenance of gender hierarchies in professional environments. Enhancing gender equity in organizations. Understanding the dynamics of gendered discourse in organizations can inform strategies for enhancing gender equity. This includes developing awareness and training programs that highlight the value of diverse communication styles, promoting inclusive leadership models, and implementing policies that address the double bind and other challenges identified in Tannen's research. Navigating gendered expectations. Tannen's insights into the complexities of gendered communication provide guidance for individuals navigating professional settings. By recognizing the impact of communication styles on perceptions of authority and competence, professionals can make more informed choices about how to communicate effectively while challenging gendered expectations. Deborah Tannen's analysis of communication styles and their impact on perceptions of authority and competence in professional settings provides a foundational framework for applying gender studies in discourse analysis to organizational contexts. Her work sheds light on the intricate ways in which gendered discourses shape professional interactions and career trajectories, offering critical insights for understanding and transforming gender dynamics within organizational discourse. By exploring the gendered nuances of communication in professional environments, Tannen's research contributes to the broader project of promoting gender equity and inclusivity in the workplace. Conclusion. This comprehensive exploration across various domains illustrates the profound impact of gender studies and discourse analysis in understanding and transforming the landscapes of advocacy, policy making, education, media representation, organizational communication, and the negotiation of queer identities. From Nancy Fraser's critical insights into participatory parity and public discourse to Deborah Tannen's analysis of gendered communication in organizations, these scholars provide invaluable frameworks for dissecting the intricate ways in which gendered discourses shape and are shaped by societal norms, power dynamics, and institutional practices. The application of these theories not only deepens our comprehension of gender as a pivotal axis of analysis but also empowers a more inclusive, equitable, and just social order. By challenging and reshaping the discursive constructions of gender across different spheres, gender studies and discourse analysis continue to play a crucial role in advancing social justice, advocating for marginalized voices, and fostering critical engagements with gender norms and identities. In doing so, they not only enrich academic discourse but also contribute significantly to the praxis of gender equality and the broader project of societal transformation. Frequently asked questions. What is the relevance of Nancy Fraser's work in advocacy and policy making? Nancy Fraser's critique of the public sphere and her concepts of participatory parity and counter-publics provide a framework for understanding and addressing the dynamics of power, inequality, and participation in advocacy and policy making. Her theories help identify how gendered discourses can constrain or enable transformative actions in these areas. What does Fraser mean by participatory parity? Participatory parity refers to the condition where all individuals have the opportunity to participate as equals in social life, including in discursive spaces. This concept emphasizes the importance of creating conditions where marginalized voices are equally heard and can influence decision-making processes. How does Fraser's model address economic and cultural aspects of gender inequality? Fraser's model incorporates economic redistribution, cultural or symbolic recognition, and political representation. She argues that addressing injustices requires interventions at all these levels, including challenging discursive practices that perpetuate gender inequalities. What are the implications of Fraser's insights for inclusive policy discourse? Applying Fraser's insights means ensuring policy discourse is inclusive and reflects the diverse experiences and needs of all societal members, particularly marginalized groups. It involves challenging exclusionary discourses and creating mechanisms for diverse voices to contribute to policy discussions. How can Fraser's work empower marginalized voices in advocacy? Fraser's work highlights the importance of supporting and amplifying the voices of marginalized communities in advocacy, ensuring they can participate as equals in public discourse. This involves critiquing power structures that silence certain groups and actively creating spaces for these groups to articulate their needs and perspectives. What challenges do Fraser's concepts present to traditional approaches in policymaking? Fraser challenges traditional policymaking approaches by critiquing the notion of a unified public sphere and promoting the recognition of multiple publics or counter-publics. Her approach requires policymakers to consider the diverse and often competing discourses that influence social and political life. How can Fraser's theory of recognition help in addressing gender inequalities? Fraser's theory of recognition emphasizes the need to address misrecognition in discourses, which can perpetuate inequality. By correcting misrecognition through more equitable representation and acknowledgement of diverse identities and needs, it is possible to challenge and transform existing gender inequalities. What are the practical steps for implementing Fraser's ideas in real-world advocacy? Implementing Fraser's ideas involves fostering inclusivity in policy discourse, ensuring equitable participation in decision-making, supporting advocacy that amplifies marginalized voices, and integrating considerations of redistribution, recognition, and representation into policy development and advocacy strategies. How do Fraser's theories intersect with other areas of gender studies in discourse analysis? Fraser's theories intersect with other areas of gender studies by providing a critical framework for analyzing how power and identity are constructed and contested in discourses, offering insights into the complex interplay of language, power, and gender in various social contexts. What role do Fraser's concepts of counter-publics play in contemporary gender advocacy? The concept of counter-publics is crucial in contemporary gender advocacy as it highlights the formation of alternative discursive arenas where marginalized groups can develop and circulate counter-discourses, challenging mainstream narratives and advocating for social change.